especially like a region like CBLOL, if you're a 17-year-old, you need to be a little bit cocky, you need to have some swagger, and I want to see them play with that. I want to see them take it to, you know, veterans like Zeitnot, like GBM, who have been around for such a long time and are such prolific players. I think this is a huge situation that KaBuM could absolutely explode into MSI.
We could end the group in quite the chaos here if KaBuM can find what at this early stage would be, I think, an upset, at least a small one. On Gangplank here in the draft are banned away by KaBuM, and Swain Kazakhstan for Supermassive as Kai'Sa on the blue side getting banned away.
And this is really interesting because so far today we've seen Fabulous play 2 games of Gangplank and do an absolutely ridiculous amount of damage, but I thought they might let it go through. Because when you have a look at Xantins and what he actually plays, he plays things like the Jace, like the Swain, like the Vladimir, who all have very good matchups into it. So I thought they'd go for a bit of a bait and switch. However, they just respect it and get it off the board.
I like that, certainly showing respect as Morgana will get banned away, taking that support off the table. That means everyone's favorite Rakan is on the table.
You wrecked my pun. And good that I didn't say it because it didn't come through anyway. Another champion with a lot of priority has been Karma. I reckon this might be a different pick here for support for Snowflower.
Have to see, he's looked really good on it so far in the tournament. Karma certainly had a ton of presence here, but maybe not so much success as you can see in the win rate.
Yeah, and I wonder where it goes, whether once again it goes towards that bottom lane or whether it goes towards mid lane. Obviously, Snowflower thinks it is a support Karma because he locks in a very nice champion.
Yeah, Thresh is a spicy one there. He's also had this banned against him today already, so clearly feeling confident in his playmaking ability, and after the Rakan games, I can't blame him. I think Supermassive are kind of throwing the gauntlet a little here. If they lock this in, especially a very strong, aggressive bot lane to take it to Chitan and Riev.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this is such a good bottom lane. They swap it up for something a little bit different. Both of them, however, at 80 carries that if they get caught out, can get blown up very quickly. Of course, Snowflower there with the Thresh is going to help get people out of there with the Dark Passage. So I think it's a similar thing, you know, get 3 items, stand, deliver. Caitlyn obviously takes a little bit longer to ramp up, but also has very good laning presence against you know, 80 carries that don't necessarily have that wave clear.
Yeah, think about a team that's, you know, looking to rely on the young 80 carry. Braum, I think, kind of meeting now finally, and I knew it was going to happen. Chitan locks in Ezreal.
Yeah, and this was what I was talking about, the fact that they must have thought it was a support pickup, because otherwise you just would not blind Thresh. I mean, maybe Snowflower thinks it's still a good matchup, but from what I know, Braum versus Thresh kind of sucks for the Thresh, and when you have something as mobile with the Ezreal, let alone the power of Ezreal Braum, this could be an explosive bottom lane.
Yeah, they've certainly done work with it so far, and we've kind of said we need to see the duo lane from KaBuM step up a little more and kind of get some advantages. This is the way they can do it, as Skarner going to be picked up for the jungle here by Supermassive.
Yeah, super interesting that Supermassive changed the way draft normally works. If they take a mid laner, generally you take a mid laner because you don't want the champion pool to get crunched. Right now, something like, you know, Azir being banned away, Talia being banned away, could potentially put GBM in a sticky spot. In saying that, GBM has played so many unique champions across the TCL split so far, so potentially just trusting his champion pulled out.
And I like this from Supermassive in phase 2 of the bans. Vlad, a nice ban, like you mentioned, versus GBM after his earlier performance today. But a Trundle, you can kind of see all the marksman support that we're collecting. So going to take down the surprisingly utility-based Trundle. We're going to remove some of the power from Ezreal as Olaf also joins the jungle band.
Yeah, maybe potentially means Fabulous is going to go towards something super tanky, or the fact that they just want to get rid of junglers that generally deal with the tempo, and the fact that, you know, Skarner doesn't have a gap close means he's very susceptible to being pillared off by Trundle. And if you get that ultimate down, you want to be able to drag him back to your team. You don't want to be stuck in no man's land, kind of just, you know, hanging out with an 80 carry. So I think it's still a good ban.
Aurelia, the next ban here, so taking a carry out of the top lane. So we'll see what Supermassive have to select here. Kind of a lot to think about, curiously. I definitely wonder what Ranger's going to play. Loves his aggressive junglers. And even that Jace is also on the table as Xantins if he wants that instead. A pick he certainly loves.
I think this will tell us a lot about Supermassive, and it actually does, because once again, we see they go towards a Cassiopeia, something that wins a lot of the 2v2, so obviously want to play around GBM's strength, but also the fact that they value Fabulous so high in draft that they are leaving him for counter pick in a situation where, you know, both mid and top lane are up and available.
Oh, yes! I said I wanted aggressive. I have My prayers have been answered. Camille Nocturne locked in real quick for KaBuM.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is such a good duo picked up. You always talk about taking someone with you. Nocturne's ulti is something that you struggle to be able to dive with someone. That's why we saw Karthus locked in when it was played yesterday. However, Camille can close so much distance, especially on the flank, with that hook shot, with the ultimate, and they actually go towards Shen, which is so strange because Shen can't ult while Nocturne's ulting, so they're relying on the fact that Nocturne's ulti is going to have expired, and then Shen's going to be able to save either GBM or Zeitnot, and they're not just going to get instantly killed.
Yep, some small, steady Nocturne buffs have brought him back somewhat to the meta. Ranger is a man that is unafraid to play the big aggressive jungler, so in a very important game for KaBuM, he's willing to play the hyper-aggressive jungler.
And the best thing about this draft from KaBuM is that Karma, because of the fact that she has that empowered Q, because she starts with her ultimate, will gain access to bottom river. You must have access to bottom river to make Nocturne ganks work. And I think this is one of those situations that they will be able to get it early and set their team up for that first 15 minutes that we've been talking about.
Well, we'll see if they can have a good early game and carry it through. Your SuperMassive have looked pretty formidable in the tournament so far, not just even considering this group, but in the tournament so far have been, I think, the best performing team, or have at least had the best looking game.
And I think that when you import players of the caliber of GBM, of Snowflower, when you're bringing over coaches, when you're upping your infrastructure, when you have such good companies coming in behind teams now, it was only a matter of time before this started happening to Turkish League of Legends. And I think that they are a team that not only these teams within play-ins will be looking at, but potentially further than that will be saying, hey, we need to now start taking notes of SuperMassive because they seem to be a serious threat.
And for their opponents, Brazil has had a lot of players come through, and they did at one point have quite a few imports from Korea playing in that league. But this group of rowdy Brazilians is looking to upset and try and keep their dreams alive as they look for that qualifying spot. Our last game of day 2 is going to be a spicy one.
Absolutely. And as a GM of a team, I don't know if you could pick a better lineup of, young, talented players to be able to come in and take down some veterans and instantly pastry.
Here we go.
We see it.
This is what we wanted to see, an aggressive 5-man stack. Looking for probably a late invade. Braum is so good in level 1.
Yeah, what they're looking for potentially is that bottom lane control over the Crystal. It's actually not. I was going to say, when you have someone like Thresh, you might feel a little bit more confident go towards Skarner's Crystal. If you can creep around corners, get that Braum tag down, is potential to be able to get a big play there, but they do pull out.
It looks like just sitting for a potential counter invade, or just someone in a silly spot, potentially picking him off. Not going to happen here, though, as Ranger will move to the left-hand side with his blue. Stomage will hit on his red buff, so same side start here. These junglers is okay. The fun continues somewhat here. Riev and Chitang will hang out in the brush.
Yeah, and this is really interesting because when I look at Nocturne, I don't look at the most healthy clear of a jungler out there, especially given the fact that he's got Electrocute. So I think that this is a sacrifice that they're making because they want to fight for that wave level 1. They don't want to get shoved in by Zeitnot and Snowflower. And we'll see whether the fireworks do start as they start walking into lane.
Yeah, Ranger actually moved back down. He's on the red buff now, solo, with his dual lane hanging out, but it looks like the action has dissipated there on the bot side of the map.
Yeah, so just using it for priority over the wave. They're not going for the fireworks instead. They just want to be able to contest. Caitlyn starts with Piltover Peacemaker, which is like the one big spell. What Chitam will get out of these continual Q spams is actually the build-up of the Ezreal passive, which should allow him to, get enough attack speed to be able to contest for first wave. However, you see they've already lost. It will start pushing in that headshot as well as the next Piltover Peacemaker should shove that wave in.
Double Targo is not quite enough. It looks like the level 2 will go over. They're going to try and make it happen, though. Good play back there from Snowflower. But a Q does land back for a bit of threat. And nice and even as they move over, but already KaBuM's dual lane moving up aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Hook goes out there. Ooh!
Almost pay for it very, very dearly.
Just skimmed his bottom, Pastry. Just skimmed his bottom. You can see straight away Jinkedo trying to use this shove to get around the map. Something that I always like to talk about Karma is you can really tell how proficient someone is at Karma with how they dip into Fog of War and try and open up pressure points for the jungler to invade, for bottom lanes to go aggressive.
Snowflower, yep, finds a hook onto the support, plays in range. Door is up for Riev. No Ignite committed, just some poke there as Stormage also going to invade here and maybe even line up a dive because there's nothing to take on this side of the jungle.
Yeah, absolutely. However, they don't have mid lane priority. It is at most going to be 3 members down here against Ignite as well as Heal. That is a very risky dive at this stage of the game. So I like the fact that he's just protecting the push in from Snowflower and Zeitnot, who didn't have vision out at that stage of the game. Just smite play coming out of Stormage.
Ranger right now looks to be power farming on the other side of it. Stormage does delay some of his farming, but will be back very quickly, flying through that jungle. Ranger, as any Nocturne you kind of expect, is looking for that 6 to really apply the first bit of pressure.
Yeah, and that's what you have to talk about. That's why he went for the complete clear of one side of his jungle before recalling, because that's all you're waiting for is that level 6. This is the quickest way to get your camps back off cooldown. So I think that Ranger is just going to power farm through, potentially looking to take a Scuttle Crab on the top side to give some safety to Xantins up there. But Samaj, doing the right thing, it's just controlling neutral objectives. And when League of Legends is played this way, it almost is like PvE, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to get enough early game advantages before Nocturne comes into his power, and you do that by collecting things like Drakes, like Rift Scuttlers, as well as that Rift Herald.
Yep, made possible by the threat and push that Supermassive dual lane has here. Zeitnot and Snowflower might not be reflected in kind of the CS right now, but certainly reflected in the pressure they've got that gives them a very early Cloud Drake. The Fierce Emotion was not there this time.
Yeah, absolutely, and unfortunately it is going to be a second Cloud Drake, so they don't get, you know, the RNG of potentially proccing a Fire Dragon or an Earth Dragon at this early stage of the game. However, we are going to see very early recalls coming out. Chitan goes back with 24 CS pastry. That's only a tier, and he missed a cannon for it.
Yep, he actually went back. The pressure was a little too much. Instead of pickaxe here for Zeitnot, not waiting for the BF, instead taking the good timing and just getting the slightly cheaper item. Still should be able to apply that pressure.
And I think that's such a smart move to go back and match that, because what you don't want to do is give Ezreal any room to spam out abilities and be able to shove out the wave. I think that at this stage of the game, with the push they're being able to head, they should be thinking once again, as they did in the Direwolves game, one more bad recall, we take this turret. And you can see immediately Snowflower roaming down the river, looking to get pressure while the wave's pushing in, because there's really no way right now that Zeitnot can die.
Yep, only brown boots, but enough to roam down to mid and threaten potentially here in the mid, but wave is pushing in the wrong direction for that kind of play. But still a nice, pretty free look there for Snowflower.
It certainly is, and you can see he's just going to continue to really walk around. He's giving all the experience over to Zeitnot right now. He's going to be accruing such a big lead in that category. We'll get an earlier level 6. Now we'll rejoin. And you can see got very good vision control around. Knows probably there's a pink ward on the back of that red buff as well. And now with the lane reversing very hard off the turret, they can look to continue to push in with minion dematerializer, and they're going to crash this massive wave and look to take so much damage down.
Again, KaBuM duo just forced to play a little bit farther back here. 10 CS up now for Zeitnot, although that will get pretty much halved since the wave is finally given over to KaBuM's duo. Jinkedo just find a ward, clears out that pink, and is at least getting his push and pressure down.
Yeah, absolutely. We check in with the other lanes quickly. You can see right now, Fabulous, someone I didn't expect to really be seeing play Shen all that much. He's been playing Gangplank only. It's such a different pick, but I think he recognizes how much backline threat there is. Also a very good pick into Camille.
Well, Xantins, at least right now, is kind of keeping the lane pretty nicely frozen, so Fab has taken the opportunity to recall with just some Ninja Tabi, but will certainly help in the 1v1. Xantins, we've seen this, a lot of Camille's just really do need to get their farm going before things open up.
And this is the thing about Fabulous, and this is what I was talking about, the fact that they respect ban the Gangplank. You can see he's first in damage per minute, 678. That is higher than a lot of the 80 carries would be doing right now. 31% of his team's damage as well. That's why Zeitnots look smaller, because this guy in the top lane just puts in work.
Well, we'll see how much work he can do on Shen, like you mentioned, a bit of a bucking of the trend. Xantins finally gives the wave over as the freeze will break. So Mage looking to take down some vision and continue checking things out, and Ranger looking for a lane gank with level 6 in the bot lane.
Yeah, you can see right now Riev trying to fish, instead goes in.
There's Ignite, looking for the paranoia, but doesn't proc it. The range is so short at level 1. He finally finds it, but he's going to have to go in really late. The flash is nice, the damage is good, but he's forced to get away, and there's the ult, the counter stunner suppression, and first blood goes to Zeitnot. Flash, chilling smite, stun, double kill.
And that is not what you want to do. They continue to press forward, but that will be everything. And once again, SuperMassive, 2 kills onto Zeitnot, will look to potentially push down another bottom lane turret at 8 minutes into the game.
Looking so strong here. The counter gank was perfect from the Skarner, and I feel like Ranger was just a little bit short on the ulti range. The turret will be forfeit. That creep wave is massive. And once again, that early gold, that early advantage is going to the bot lane of SuperMassive. They are 2,000 gold ahead off that play.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a game-changing play. And on the back end, Ranger kind of felt like old school Maokai when you jungled and you like flash twisted advance someone in the mid lane, then they took you under the turret. That's what that paranoia felt like. He was like, I don't want to go in because I am so close to their turret right now. And that play really turned around rapidly.
Well, does not work out there. Looks like Xantis looking for a roam in the mid lane. Oh, great flash stun! Puts him in the Hextech ultimate, but Fat Fabulous is going to answer with the Channel. Ranger also here. The taunt is going to last through, but they're going to try and take the big prize. Fat Fabulous, though, solo Xantins amongst all the chaos. And now he's going to keep turning it back around. Ranger with a decent amount of damage, but Shen's just going to walk away.
And this is the benefit of experience. GBM knows exactly how much damage will come out, and now Snowflower is here.
Again, another great counterplay here from SuperMassive. The Flay not quite catching the flash, but the taunt will grab it instead. The kill goes over to the Shen, and boy, does he deserve it.
Absolutely fantastic play once again coming out of SuperMassive, just knowing exactly what they need to do at this stage of the game, and they're continuing to aggress in, looking for that vision control, and now looking to isolate that mid lane turret, whilst in the top lane, Zeitnot just continues to push in.
And actually forcing a TP from Xantins, who roamed mid with a nice attempt. Ranger, oh no, he might get picked up as well. The ace in the hold's good, so Main's going to keep running down. The hook lands on Xantins. They get the first kill onto the trap that was set up earlier. Make it a second. Zeitnot. I mean, everything's working out for SuperMassive Spawn.
And Snowflower is blowing my mind. The ability to target out the top laner, knowing that the jungler was going to fall, picks himself up a 2-for-1 special, and they will push through this turret as well. This game could be ridiculously fast.
On track for a perfect game now for SuperMassive as they look to take down turret number 2. We needed to see KaBuM's first 15 minutes go well, and he has gone the absolute opposite. 5,000 gold as that turret goes down at under 10 minutes.
And they just have advantages everywhere. Everything that could have gone correct for SuperMassive has gone. And you can see one more time, Predator going to be popped.
No, oh, actually, I think he does have it, but not quite able to get in there.
Did he move too quickly then for his Predator? Because it certainly said channeling, and it is on cooldown.
Maybe.
I don't know.
A slight oopsie, but kind of the only blemish we can find on the record.
And this is what I'm talking about. I mean, any other Cassio would be flashing away, but he knew the shield was going to be there, pops the heal early, then Fabulous comes in, and last-minute flash from GBM means they overcommit. Meanwhile, in the mid lane,
again, looking for the play. GBM going to get crushed down. The root's good. The ult's better. And GBM slips out of that.
and that is a no summoner spell Cassio, and now Fabulous can
Here
continue.
comes the punish. Flash, taunt, flash. Ranger going to get taken down. GBM's going to live. The suppression onto the next one. KaBuM throwing everything they can at SuperMassive, and it just doesn't matter.
This game is just going from bad to worse right now for KaBuM. GBM in the mid lane is just standing and delivering on the Cassiopeia, and with this Rod of Ages build is so tanky, Jinketo just dodges out on that hook, otherwise it would have been bad news bears again. But they can continue to push down this mid lane turret, and they're just taking teamfight into neutral objective time and time again.
Cassio, Caitlyn are carries that need farm, but the power trough will not exist this time around for Zeitnot. 3-0-1 with an Infinity Edge already completed. He is insanely far ahead of the curve this game.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see Jinketo steps onto a trap there, gets chunked down. That's even worse news because it opens up the rest of the map. And when you're getting access to all these neutrals, you know, Mountain Drake going to be up and available as well. This is literally the ideal start.
And again, a team that plays very textbook when they know the advantages they have, as we'll watch this next attempt here from KaBuM.
And this is 3 members streaming in, looking to lay a CC. No instant ult again, instead turns away, gets deeper under the turret, lands that, and then Fabulous with a great read, already on the collapse. They knew he was coming, they couldn't do anything about it. And they just know how far they can continue this. You know, Ignite goes out, body blocking from Snowflower, keeping GBM safe, turns around, gets some nice vamp off the creeps as well. I mean, SuperMassive are just playing a textbook game of League of Legends.
The Eye of the Herald is in the inventory of Stormage. The Mountain Drake has gone over to SuperMassive. Still on track for that perfect game as SuperMassive with a huge gold lead as they look to try and close this out. Mid turret's going to be the next target for sure. GBM's blue buff going to push that out, and we'll see where Zeitnot goes. But just look at these gold differences, Spawn.
2,000 gold. differential between the 80 carries. You know, at certain points of the game, that doesn't seem like a lot. When you got 4,000 gold, that seems like an absolute truckload, and that is the exact situation that Chiton is right now. He is a third of his gold down to Zeitnot.
That's a lot. And unfortunately, the Caitlyn is not stopping anytime soon. He's actually looking topside right now to catch this wave. But should be on 2 items real quickly, and a very smart defensive purchase, perhaps.
And this is where you have to really look at SuperMassive and say, this is a team that is playing respectfully within themselves, because Zeitnot, he's 2,000 gold up. He could be like, you know, I'm going to go towards my Zeal. Instead, he knows he's carrying a shutdown, goes towards the tabbies, knows the only way he dies is if somehow Xantins as well as Range get onto him at the same time. So goes for that defensive pickup. The range plus the boots is just going to keep him so safe throughout this game.
Certainly isn't. He's the one that needs to stay safe. He tries to go aggressive. He's known for it, but he's going to get suppressed as a result. Flayed into the box, locked down forever, and Skarner takes the kill as the lands a little late.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, they tried to get Zeitnot into there. Once again, they go into GBM.
Back into GBM, insta-flash out. This time he knows has to get out quickly as the team rejoins. And now they can make their play. Ranger is very vulnerable. So is Kuchka on the knockdown. Good spell shield there as the knockup from Rev might save him instead. He gets hooked down. Zeitnot on a rampage. Takes down the Karma with his ultimate. He grabs a double off the back end of the play. The mid out is gone as well. Rift out trying to hold it to celebration at this point.
Absolutely. They're just going to look to push through. So many turrets will go down on this push. All of the CC and wave clear is now off the map with Riev as well as Jinkedo going down. And SuperMassive are putting on a clinic of League of Legends.
To put it in perspective, Spawn, the largest goal deficit at 15 so far this tournament is 2.7k. We're not at 15 minutes, and I'm not great at math, but that number is a whole lot bigger than that one. It's triple, actually.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, right now, 9,000 gold is the lead for SuperMassive. And for teams that want to be able to say, you know, when we're ahead, how do we turn around plays? You know, Chiton makes a small mistake, immediately they layer the CC perfectly. They're looking to get multiple members involved. GBM goes back mid lane. He knows right now I am the only play available on the map. Steps too far forward, immediately respect flashes. Then from there, he knows the other team is overextended. KaBuM, unfortunately, try and save a loss, which he should never do. A bullet curve somehow doesn't hit Ranger, takes down Jinkedo, maybe a little bit unlucky there, but with 2 members off Summoner's Rift, they just push through, immediately get the recall, and they are now at their maximum power level.
11-0 and counting in kills as structures and objectives continue to fall around. Infernal Drake will be the one up next for a bit of variety bucket action, but SuperMassive will take it given where this game has gone. Caitlyn is not even 2 items yet, and Zeitnot has effectively already taken this one over. 3 for 1, GBM, can he magic a way out of this one? Doesn't look like it this time around. The stun will land from the passive. He will get feared by Nocturne, and Riev will prevent the perfect game, but Snowflower is hunting for revenge. He grabs the hook, Riev burns the flash, and now the TP's gonna try and take the maximum off this play. Titan now gonna run into FabFab, gonna have to flash out, but FabFab says no, he's gonna wait, the stun will land, the chain is there, and they take him down as well.
And you can see Snowflower is still chasing Ranger throughout the jungle. He thinks he's got himself a way out. Snowflower still just searching for the jungle. Ranger will be able to escape, but you can see that SuperMassive right now, even if GBM gets caught out, they're collapsing as a unit, they're teleporting in, they really are playing towards a percentage plays. And I mean, this is GBM, thinking he's safe in a side lane, maybe going a little bit too far up. Once again, collapse is there. This is very nice play, but immediate response. Duck into Fog of War right now. If you are Fabulous, look for your ward. They call the players on as soon as Snowflower hits the hook. That's the teleport coming in. And they're just punishing little mistakes. It looked like a good play, but it just wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, KaBuM kind of has to do those things when you're this far behind. Any gold you can get is good gold. But SuperMassive is just playing it kind of another level in this game at least. Still Mage again looking for something down the bot side, but not going to grab it.
Yeah, and to just put into category like how world-class SuperMassive is playing right now. This is the 5th highest gold differential, like all splits. This is a team that right now is playing flawless League of Legends. You know, you can argue that potentially GBM needs to wait for other lanes to be crashing for him to play aggressively. He is playing a little bit over the edge, but everyone else on his team is really towing that line of, you know, super aggressive, punishing play and respect.
Ranger in again, Snowflower on the target. There's the ult from Braum to try and combo it up. But the front line is good. They're going to suppress the Braum now in the front, but actually KaBuM might have something here. The ult comes in onto Zeitnot from Fab is trying to find the Tom, but Riev is going to go down to that last auto. A great stun from GBM. Finds the Camille that tried to make the play. Bale Flash is going to seal that kill. And Zaitnow grabs yet another one.
And unfortunately for KaBuM, when the game goes against you, it just goes against you. Can't even get over the wall there. It looked very skinny.
Oh, what a play from Fab. Flash from Chitan. Not even relevant as Fab finds it.
And there is just nothing you can do. You're in such a big gold hole. You're 11,000 gold down there, pushing into your base. You got to stand. You got to try and fight back at some point. But right now, SuperMassive are just running over the top of the Brazilians.
Inhib down. Just over 18 minutes in. As the last few things are put into place by Fabulous. Invitational's up as well, by the way, so they'll rush over and take that if they needed any more advantage, which they do not.
They probably don't. But at a certain point in the game, you got to just sit back and you just got to appreciate, you know, being outclassed a little bit in this game specifically. The snowball started so early. You're against a comp that outscales you anyway. There's really not all that much you can do. So you start taking desperation plays. Once again, they think the support is overextended. They think this is a 3v4, potentially the best they're going to get. They have teleport as well. So they say, you know what? Throw caution in the wind. We're going for it again. Unfortunately, the items are too much. Snowflower is slightly too tanky. If maybe he doesn't have 1 or 2 items there, this is a completely different story. But you've got to respect what KaBuM's going for. Really love the panache and the fight that they're leaving here. But at a certain point in League of Legends, gold means more than anything.
And then Fab. What a flash taunt there. And Snowflower actually picks up credit for the kill, which leads to the inhib take on top of the Infernal Drake that they also got. So having a quick flick through the items, they've got a lot. KaBuM do not have as many. Again, not good at maths, so we're just going to simplify that one for me.
SuperMassive again looking for something.
I mean, he's got free reign, range with the Banshees, wait it out, suppress him, and that's going to take 3-ish autos from Zaitnow.
Yeah. Unfortunately, as I said, at this stage of the game, you know, Baron about to spawn. What else are you supposed to do? You need to look for a way to be able to get some form of control. They go again.
Oh, good flash. Oh, Zaitnow with a very aggressive flash. Did not expect that at all. He even nets forward. He wants to take him down, but he's not going to find Titan.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, he just continues to go forward. That's an ultimate out of Chitan to just chase him away. So, you know, we still do some form of damage here. However, that's going to be Baron started up with the entirety of KaBuM chased back into their base. I don't think there's any real way to contest this. And with this falling, is there any real way you keep a Caitlyn out at 20 minutes with a Baron buff?
At this point, probably not, as the team will go back and shop and will watch this pick again.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, as I said, if you're Ranger, this is the right play. You need to get vision on Baron. Otherwise, it's going to fall down and you're not going to be able to fight. Potentially, the only way back into the game is if Baron does a lot of damage to a Zaitnow or a GBM at this stage. So he goes for the play, gets punished, but once again, you got to respect what KaBuM's doing.
It is Snowflower. TP'ing with a spellbook teleport just to save the turret. In fact, might be even more, but the controller is going to spot him. Predator pop, but not going to find a pick this time.
Yeah, and now they've got themselves a banner of command. They got themselves a Baron, got themselves all the CC they need, and a Caitlyn. So at a certain point, they're going to have to try and kill the Bannered Up creep, which I don't think they can do. And then you're going to have to engage onto a fed Cassio, you know, through the shields that are going to come out of Fabulous and the suppression of Stomage. Like, you hate to call a game over before it's over, but this is the closest thing to over that a game can be.
Yep, certainly not looking good at all for KaBuM. Yep, there's the flash suppress again, so SuperMassive just too quick on these plays. They don't quite get the Lantern pullback, but still Zaitnow, legendary, gets yet another kill. His 10th of the game.
I would love to see that again, because I think, actually, as Hook goes out again, that the reason...
Miasma?
Yeah,
I think so too.
Go with Skarner there, even though he took the Dark Passage, was because Miasma went down and he can't use Gap Cloak.
Oh my goodness, GBM finds the stun onto Chitan. He'll take him down. It's just a mess in the front of the Nexus Ranger. A desperate ult that he knows is going nowhere but the grave. SuperMassive will wrap this game up in record time with his play-in.
Yeah, absolutely, and just as Hope was getting out there, SuperMassive come in, they squash it, they pick up the 3-0 on the day, and establish themselves as the best play-ins team.
Nice play-by-play there, spawn to round it out as SuperMassive joined Gambit in the 3-0 club here in the play-in.
I mean, that was impressive gameplay. KaBuM are no slouches, but SuperMassive come in and they absolutely take care of business pastry time. That was some world-class League of Legends.
On May the 4th, I reached out with my feelings to say it was the fastest game. I have been confirmed by stats, thank you, that it was correct. Fastest by 5 minutes so far in the tournament.
That's nuts. And I reckon they're probably the second fastest game as well. They're speed running MSI at this stage. GBM, first international tournament, wants to make it a damn good one. And so far, he is stepping up for his team. But that's not to say, like, no one on SuperMassive right now is playing average League of Legends. They are all excelling.
Yeah, it's been above average across the board for the team. As again, they just look like such a threat here from Group B. Still have to play a qualify if they finish first, which is odds on right now looking good. But if you're one of those teams waiting in that qualifier to play into the group stage, you're starting to be like, all right, these guys are a real threat.
What do you actually do? I mean, you have a look at Fab. He's playing top lane carries, doing so much damage. All of a sudden, he pulls out Shen in a reactionary pick to what was going to be a lot of dive threat onto GBM. GBM is playing absolutely every champion in League of Legends, even if it doesn't belong in the mid lane, and they've just got class in every other role. If you're the Direwolves, maybe you think you've learned something from game 1 today. I think Sharp now just throws that out and says, you know, we're just going to have to react what they bring, because right now they look so incredibly promising.
I think, again, love to follow up on Fabulous, because he did so much work on that pick, roaming on Shen, not needing to use the ult all the time, not TPing all the time, but just having presence, being there for his team, and playing a role that we didn't really expect him to play. And if we did, not that well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that just shows the versatility of a player, and that's what you need to be, you know, one of the best top laners, able to play champions like Shen, split pushing threats, as well as, you know, global threats like Gangplank, high mechanical ceilings. All of his taunt flashes were on point. His reads of the map were beautiful to watch, and that's just a very diverse but, you know, awesome game.
And again, everyone's still playing well. He's adorable. He's really good at support. It is Snowflower. He's been looking excellent. I mean, I kind of see now why, even though his Rakan's good, his Thresh has drawn bans already.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Thresh is one of those champions. If you play it to a high level, if you are one of the gods of it, it just looks great in any situation, and that game was no different.
Well, day 2 is soon coming to a close, but to hear more about that win and wrap up the day, let's send it over to the analysts.
Thank you very much, Pastry, and I'd also like to welcome King from the Direwolves to the analyst desk. Thank you for joining us.
Hi.
There we go. We got it out of him.
Stepped on me asking you or saying thank you for joining us. So thank you. And also congratulations. 2-1 is a fantastic start for you guys in Group B.
2-1, it's sort of bittersweet because we did so much preparation for Supermassive. Like, I think we did a little bit not enough for the other teams, but doing that much preparation and not coming out on top, it's bittersweet that we came out like we're the second place team right now, but we didn't achieve our goal of beating Supermassive.
What was your confidence level going into the game? Like, how did you feel like you were going to do? Because you had a lot of prep. You must have felt good going into it, right?
Yeah, I did. Over the past year or so, like after last MSI, I got outclassed individually really hard by the same players like not. And I feel like I was ready for the lane today. Like, I was really confident in 2v2, but obviously I didn't perform, I don't think, in any of the games 2v2. But I think after today, I'm going to be a lot more prepared for Sunday.
Yeah, so disappointed in your own play. Is that going to be your working point for Sunday? You just want to show up bigger for the Direwolves?
I mean, I want to show up 2v2 in particular. Like, I want to show that I'm capable of standing up, like, alone in lane. I don't need, like, Shen to gank me or anything. Just, I can beat this guy. Like, I don't care if he's got a Korean support. Like, I wanna know.
Get this man out of my lane. I need no Shen fight. That's it.
There's no shame in getting ganked by your jungler, though. You're also saying, well, it was the first game, it was early, and, you know, you got to get that first feel on the stage. And then Supermassive was fantastic from the first game on. And honestly, they've just gotten better as the game progressed, as the day progressed, rather. We just saw it versus KaBuM. Wow, that was a stomp. That was a stomp of the likes. I have not seen it that often between these two teams, because usually in best of ones, it's a bit close. It's a bit blow for blow, Andy. But this time around, yeah, Supermassive was just too strong for KaBuM.
It just felt like that they outplayed KaBuM in every capacity. Every time KaBuM tried to make a play, Supermassive were there. They responded very effectively, and they secured themselves every single advantage. And they just didn't stop. The moment they had it, they kept the pressure up, they kept looking for plays, and their proactivity resulted in, what was a 22, 23-minute win?
Yeah, and I love the two things about it. One thing was heavy mid lane control with control ward, so it felt like the Cassiopeia was always safe. And the second thing was the Shen pick. Now here's the thing, if you have Nocturne going straight into Shen, Shen's gonna win almost every time. So I like that aspect of it, and there is obviously like a worry about the follow-up damage with Nocturne, but it felt like even without the Shen ultimate, Fabulous was always in the area, so mid lane control from the team was always there.
I mean, against like Supermassive, if you unless you're really strong individually, like you just completely outclass them, like you're like King Zone or something, there's no way you're gonna like beat them, because in these like play-in stage, like the teams that have the best fundamental, like macro play and just individual skill, like I feel like you can't lose. Like I know, like when you verse like lower elo people, like when you go into a game, like you're like, there's no way I can lose this game. Like I reckon that's how SuperMassive feel against like almost every other team in their group, like us, Japan.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
Brazil.
one thing, like hitting on that point, the fact that they're okay playing standard early game. Like even the stats that we saw from the team coming in from the TCL, it wasn't that they weren't getting extravagant leads early in the game. They were actually running even. But the problem is once you get into the later portions of the game, their vision control is strong. Like you already mentioned the fact that their standard play is good
Like they're
enough.
so comfortable with standard that like they know they're gonna win. But like you saw yesterday, Gambit, they were struggling a little, so they had to pull out some Carthus Nocturnes.
Yeah. Well, Supermassive, as you say, they look really scary and really strong, and that is why when we take a look at the standings after Group B, they are 3-0. This time around, my analysts were correct. They had projected this score for Supermassive, 3-0, but the Direwolves just behind them at 2-1. And we were talking a bit about your guys' story. You'd been at MSI 2017, you'd been at Worlds 2017, and it does feel like you guys look like a different team. You're focusing on different things, and it seems that you're winning as a team, as opposed to at MSI, obviously, famously, Schernfire took to the middle of the stage and was very confident. Looks like you guys have taken a step back maybe in that overconfidence and focused more on prep and playing the game correctly. Is that a right
I mean,
assessment?
like I said before, it's all about fundamentals. So obviously, like last year, we had Fantix and Chippies. They were really big solo lane superstars, but this year we've gone more of a team approach, like how every role in the team like works with each other and how we can gain leads, not just like, oh, Fantix, you win mid, Chippies, you win top, and bot lane go even, we win the game like
Well,
that.
how? I will still say that Chippy's strategy does still feel like a lot of I'm going to win top lane and then bring my lead everywhere else.
I mean, against worse top laners that works, but Fat Fabulous showed today that he's not a pushover.
Yeah, and what I liked about this time around, it felt like the mental fortitude was there. Because last time it felt like you guys would probably tilt out of the tournament, but this time around, it felt like that one loss hit you, and even when the 2v2 wasn't working well for you guys immediately swapped top and then created a lead off that. So I felt like you guys still kept into it, even regardless of the earlier deficits.
I have to agree.
I think over this this split for like Direwolves, we've got 2 new members, and they're really calm people. Like that's one of the factors we're looking like when we decide to choose a new player, like how calm, how collected they can stay. And Triple and Cupcake, I think they're the coolest headed people I've ever met. Like I don't think anything can make Triple angry or like freak out.
He's untiltable.
Pretty much.
I feel like the kid's always smiling, actually. Have
Who
you ever
is
seen him angry?
tiltable? Who's the tiltable member? Is
I
it
mean-
Schernfire?
The players that didn't change. There's a reason why we're here, but there's also some reasons that we shouldn't be here, like our anger. But yeah, I think in our grand finals, the only reason why we won that was not like skill, teamwork, macro, anything like that, just how calm we could stay. Like 0-2 down. I don't think any other team in that like position from our region would be able to win from that position.
Yeah, I gotta agree. You guys kept your head cool and upset the Chiefs there. And when we introduced you guys today, we were like, well, it could have just as well been the Chiefs that were on stage here. But I feel like you've proven that you are a very strong team in this group so far. So I want to take a look at a couple of players that have stood out to us and that have done really well. Let's take a look at Supermassive top laner. I think Raz, you specifically mentioned him already. You wanted to take a look at him. Fabulous, because we're talking about GBM, we're talking about Zeit now, we're talking about Snowflower, but this guy is also just consistently
It
there.
always flies under the radar. Before these players even came onto the team, it was a team of Fabulous playing carry top lanes. This time around, he's able to do just that on the GP. Even when he played towards the tank in the last game of the day, he was incredibly impactful saving out GBM. So Fabulous today had a phenomenal performance.
I feel like that, I gotta be honest, coming into the tournament, he was the weak point with which you could look to attack on the side of Supermassive, especially when considering some of the other top laners that we have in this group as well. He would struggle against some of the pressure and the carry styles that they tend to prefer, but he demonstrated today that he does not mind playing carries as well. He can be a big contributor, and he is quite the playmaker.
I think a really big surprise that came to me was like his ability to play Gangplank. Like Gangplank is one of the harder top lane champs to play, and like in the playing stages, you generally see top laners that are like one side of the spectrum. They're either full carry, full tank. And I thought he was a full tank player. Like after watching his finals, it was like 3 Ornn games or something.
Yeah.
But like now that he's shown that he's like a gangplank player, like he is definitely one of the better top laners in the plans. Much like Jarrell from the other group, he's really good at both styles of play.
Yeah, and both of those guys are guys that have been with their respective teams for a very long time, and that's always been a backbone. Another guy that's been the backbone for Supermassive for a while is Zeitnot, that AD carry in the bottom lane. And I know, King, you just regard him very, very highly, and he's not even needed to show up that much today because the whole team is showing up. But what is so good about Zeitnot in lane?
I think Zeitnot, he's just fundamentally like the best players in the game. They don't do anything special. They're just really good at the basic things that he is really good at. Like he's just better at me than a lot of things. Like he was zoning me really hard in the matchup. Like he just forced like all my mana in the Xayah vs Ezreal matchup. Like he was pretty much as good. Like if you remove the nameplates, like Snowflower and Zeitnot, you would think they were both Korean pretty much.
Well, they're only half Korean, but that's a bit of a compliment to Zeitnot. It is. I like that you say that, because often we think that the best players are the ones that do the flashy out plays and that carry the game on their own. But the fact that you can influence that lane so much, that you know the details of every matchup so well that you kind of instill fear in your opponents, is also the sign of a very good player.
It's nice to see that Zeitnot coming in is living up to some of the expectations that many analysts did have of him, because one of the big players that we did hype up from Group A was White Lotus, and we said that him coming in, he's going to be a big contender, and we thought that like one of his big potential rivals could be Zeitnot. And I just feel that when you compare the consistency and the fact that the level at which they've been playing at, Zeitnot is just kind of blowing him out of the water, and I feel that right now he is definitely one of, if not the best performing AD of the play.
Yeah, great stuff by him. Another player I want to look at is from the Direwolves. Triple in the mid lane. Fantastic day he's had, really stepping up as a carry together with Chippies, I would say, making the moves on the map for the Direwolves.
Yeah, Triple Cheese himself, man. The guy, him and Shermfire, he talked about the 2v2 specifically between him and himself. He had a lot of space in the mid lane to work, so that's how he was able to open the game with just his Zoe alone.
And I loved hearing from him in the interview afterwards, how relaxed he was, how calm he was. He wasn't overly confident. He just said, you'll have to wait and see how we do. Like, we have an idea of what we did wrong. We know what we're going to do better. And as you rightly said, King, like, he just seems super chill all the time.
Yeah. Steven, he's like, you wouldn't expect, like, he's been like 5th place for like the whole like 2 years, I think. And then suddenly joins the first place team, goes to MSI, and like he's the best player from that team, like it seems like so far.
Oh yeah, you regard him as the best player on Direwolves?
I mean, performing so far.
Yeah, so far, definitely. I think that's fair. 19 KDA. High KDA always means that you're the best player.
That's how we judge it. That is our only reliable metric.
So guys, I know King's here, so I don't want to spoil the party for him, but do you see any other team than Supermassive going through to the next round?
It will be very difficult. I think that now that Fabulous has shown all of his cards and that he actually has a wider champ pool, this roster becomes a lot harder to attack, because even if you try and shut down the bottom lane, the top side of the map can compensate for the weaknesses. So I think the easiest avenue in which you can shut down Supermassive might have to be the middle lane. GBM still feels like a bit of an overeager player that's willing to make plays and stick around when he shouldn't, and perhaps that overaggression can be capitalized upon, but even then, finding advantages in the mid lane, I feel like right now is not the priority in the current meta, where bot and top seem to have so much more influence.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think they should keep even in the mid lane. Not just the matchup, but just vision control from that point forward. Because GBM, when he was on the Rise game, found himself on side lane really early on, and a lot of that structure came through freeing him up. And then when he was on the Cassiopeia, they saved him, or at least protected him so heavily that it felt like a lot of Snowflower's control wards, along with Stomage, came through mid. If they can at least push back on that, then you have a chance.
Well, I was looking at the schedule for the Direwolves for Sunday, so you guys don't play first, which is good, so you can get into it. It's the second game you play versus KaBuM, so it seems like you do have an avenue to get off to a good start, then you have some time, and then you play Supermassive. So in terms of tempo and scheduling, it feels like it could be good for you guys that day.
I mean, we get to see one of their games before we play, I believe.
Yes, versus Pentagram they're playing.
I think today, how we just went into like first game, we don't know what they play, they don't know what we play. That was sort of like scary because both teams can have completely different views on the meta. And I think we were pretty similar, but they just played it better. But I think we have blue side, and I believe blue side's a lot stronger in this patch.
Yeah, there we
saw
go.
that
He said
today.
it. Not only just today, right? But it's
I
literally
think
both
blue
days.
side right now has about a 70 to 80% win rate. Yesterday, 4 out of the 5 wins were blue side. Today, 3 out of the 5 wins. So yeah, blue side pretty strong. Having that first pick seems to have a lot of value. But do you think it's just the first pick that gives you the most power?
I think
Or
there's too many like strong picks right now. Like I think how's Rakan's win rate? Like Rakan first pick is just
he's pretty good.
you can't like what do you counter Rakan with? He's just too good. But the stuff like I think for Supermassive in particular, their first pick is really scary because they could get stuff like Thresh. We had to ban that. Like we had too much stuff to ban off them. And I think that's why a lot of the good teams, they win on blue side. Like, you can't ban enough champs off
a lot's going to come down to strategizing and figuring out how you can outpick them. As said, they cover a lot in that playing field. You said you were disappointed in your play today.
Yep.
You're looking forward to Sunday. So what is the mission? Is it to beat them in lane, or is it to go equal at least so you can enable the rest of the team?
I mean, obviously I'm aiming to beat them, but it would be nice to not get my tower blown up in 6 minutes.
Always nice. Yeah. Well, the best of luck then. You guys get another day to relax, but I think it will be more preparing. However, tomorrow we go back to Group A. Let's take a look at what's going on in Group A. It's going to kick off with GPL's Ascension Gaming taking on Gambit Esports from the LCL, and then a rematch between Chaos Latin Gamers and Rainbow 7 for Game 2 immediately. King, how much have you seen of this group, and what do you think about it?
Like I was talking about fundamentals before, I feel like Rainbow 7, just as a team, like their fundamentals should be strong enough to just like net them wins. But I feel like, I don't know if it was cheese or they just weren't performing well, but it's really surprising that they dropped 2 games and that Gambit are like first 3-0.
Were you surprised that White Lotus wasn't carrying hard for Rainbow 7?
I scrimmed against him quite a lot, and I feel like he's definitely one of the best players I've versed so far, like scrimming at in Germany. But it's not surprising because he's like, he hasn't played a whole split. He just like, I got unbanned. Well, I'm back, guys. Decided to play first time since like last year on MSI. And, like, I think it's unrealistic to expect that he would be like popping off.
Maybe almost too much, that he really wants to prove himself, but you don't necessarily immediately get to the stage and play the way you used to, right? It takes some time.
Yeah, I think ultimately my point on this is, while I think he's playing well enough, I think a lot of the problems that they have while they are early game pressuring in, letting Audi thrive, their decision making around Baron has been considerably poor. So it puts them in really bad scenarios that I really hope that if they look to go for those team fight comps, that they can protect their carries in that one. I think Seiya is performing incredibly well. And if they can look to protect both Seiya and White Lotus, then they'll do quite well.
I'm looking forward to seeing what KLG can do. I feel like that they've come in as a bit of a surprise. They are, I describe them as blindly aggressive because they seem to not have a stop button that often. But sometimes it works out for them. They had a super fast game against Ascension. I just don't know how well that will work against teams that have now seen it. We saw what Gambit did when they came in with a very prepared strat that was like, we are going to prevent you from snowballing your bottom lane with the Galio and the Gangplank, I think it was as well. And if other teams adopt this strategy, then I feel like KLG will struggle a lot more than they did in their first day.
Yeah, my gut feeling is that even though Gambit showed 3 different strategies to get their 3 wins on day 1, as you guys pointed out, the fact that, I don't know, the other teams seem like they have something up their sleeve makes that group closer for me. For me, when I look at Group B, I just think SuperMassive is going to roll over everyone quite easily. On the other side, sorry, King. On the other side, I think that there's a lot more volatility in that Group A. I think Rainbow 7 could very well come in tomorrow and pick up 2 wins, and then we're squared out. But, you know, it all depends on if Gambit keeps coming in with that strong form. Do you think we've seen enough inspiring things for them that they can lock it down tomorrow?
I think Gambit are like, he's got a bunch of different cheeses ready to roll out, and like until you like run out of cheeses, they're just gonna keep winning. I'm not sure how many like cheese they got, but Rainbow 7, like, it's a really bad spot to be 1-2 right now. We felt it last year, like it's not in your control. You're hoping for people to win, and then when you see like that team that you want to win just lose, you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
what do we do now? But I think Gambit can take this group really easily. Like, they're 3-0 up. It's pretty hard for anyone else to take it. I don't think KLG can beat Gambit right now. But Rainbow 7 are sort of out of contention.
All right.
Because it's pretty hard to come back from that.
Rough verdict for
I would
Rainbow
also
7.
say that with Gambit, like, while they're coming up with the different strategies involved, I thought that their setup to make those strategies, or at least their game plans, work out well has been solid. One team that I would love to hit, the fact that, speaking of that, Ascension. Ascension are a team that I thought that they were very close in a lot of those skirmishes coming out ahead. I know one pick that we always have like a big discussion on is the Kai'Sa one, where it felt like a lot of those team fights came to those micro interactions. And Ascension are the most willing to give it up. I was wondering, what's your take on Kai'Sa specifically?
Kai'Sa, sort of a weird champ. Like in this meta, priority and like lane pressure like leads to so much. You can get dragons, you can get mid roams, but like for some reason Kai'Sa like that does not matter. You like Kai'Sa can get pushed in, she hits 2 items, and suddenly your ADC and mid just keep dying over and over in team fights.
That's what we thought. She's a players have been playing her well, but she might be a bit overtuned once you get an advantage.
It's just interesting because it is definitely like an advantage point. I remember in the LPL, it came down to a fact of if you can play perfectly with your Caitlyn or Varus and just get tempo, then everything works out. But it's always just that one window. Like if she gets that one window in the team fight, you're like, so that's always interesting to me going into drafting for Ascension going forward, because they're a team that's really heavily focused on those skirmishing. So a lot of those windows can leave open. Is if we see them picking up the Kai'Sa or if it just gets banned outright.
But Raz, it's going to be really... I know you said that they would do better than they have, but they're 0-3.
I will say that like Ascension have had a lot of good team fights.
Yes.
Like they've demonstrated that their 5v5 is much better than their individual laning, and I think that they have a real ability to play spoiler tomorrow, and any team that drops a game to Ascension gives other teams a big opportunity to close the gap, because while being in that 1-2 position is definitely an awkward situation to be in, it's not unrealistic to think that KLG, based on their last performance, could take down Gambit, and as long as Rainbow Seven step up, then maybe they can close that gap.
Well, we also got to remember that even if they're out of contention for the group specifically, it is about regional pride very much so, and doing as much as you can to represent the region that you're from. So I'm expecting a lot of action tomorrow and looking forward to it. King, thank you so much for joining us at the desk.
Thank you for having me on the desk. I
No
enjoyed it a lot.
problem. Fantastic insight, and you guys are on a roll. Please keep it going Sunday. We'll be looking forward to it. But for now, that is all from us here in Berlin. Thank you, Raz and Vetti, for spending another entire day with me. I know it must be awful, but we will be back tomorrow. Look out at 11 a.m. CEST for Ascension Gaming versus Gambit Esports. Until then, have a terrific evening.
Goodbye.
Oi, oi.